Gentlemen, if you're truly smart, not just in books but in life and love, you've got to know what not to do when it comes to women, because it's not just about charm, looks, or money. It's about emotional intelligence, self-respect, and awareness. So today, let's uncover the 9 things smart men never do with women. Smart men don't chase, they attract. Smart man knows his worth. He doesn't run after anyone hoping to be chosen. He focuses on becoming the kind of man who others naturally gravitate toward. Desperation repels, confidence attracts. 0.2. Smart men don't ignore red flags. If she disrespects you, manipulates, lies, or plays games, it's not passion, it's poison. Smart men don't try to fix toxic, they walk away. Because no woman is worth losing your peace over. 0.3. Smart men don't make her the center of their world. Yes, love deeply, but don't lose your mission. Your purpose is your power. A woman can complement your journey, but she should never be the journey. 0.4. Smart men don't give commitment to the wrong woman. She might be beautiful, but does she bring peace? Does she support your goals? Don't commit to someone who drains your energy. Commit to someone who aligns with your values. 0.5. Smart men don't try to impress, they express. Trying too hard to look cool, rich, or strong only shows insecurity. Smart men express their truth with calm confidence. They don't wear a mask, they wear a character. 0.6. Smart men don't tolerate emotional manipulation. Guilt trips, silent treatments, emotional outbursts, those are control tactics. A man who values his emotional well-being doesn't play those games. He sets boundaries. He walks away when needed. 0.7. Smart men don't rush intimacy. They build emotional and mental connection first. They know a real relationship isn't built in a night, it's built with trust over time. 0.8. Smart men don't abandon their standards for attraction. Being attracted is not a good enough reason to compromise. If she disrespects your time, your values, or your peace, walk away. No physical beauty can make up for emotional chaos. 9. Smart men don't forget who they are, even in love, even when emotions are high. He remembers his identity, he doesn't beg, he doesn't lose himself, and he doesn't settle, because at the end of the day, a truly smart man knows the right woman will never require you to lose yourself to love her. Smart men understand that chasing a woman rarely leads to a fulfilling connection. When you chase, you place someone else above you. You signal that their attention is more valuable than your self-worth. Chasing is rooted in scarcity, in the fear that if you don't run after her, she'll be gone. But the truth is, what's meant for you doesn't require you to beg, chase, or compromise your dignity. A man who truly values himself doesn't feel the need to prove his worth to anyone. He lets his presence speak. He knows his value, and that confidence alone is magnetic. Attraction begins with how you treat yourself. It's in your posture, your habits, your voice, your discipline, and your mindset. A man who invests in himself, his health, his purpose, his growth, becomes the kind of man others naturally want to be around. He doesn't need to beg for a woman's time. His time is already valuable, and that energy is powerful. It's not arrogance, it's assurance. It's the unspoken understanding that I am enough as I am, and if you see that, great. If not, I move forward without hesitation. When a man chases, he often overlooks red flags. He's so caught up in the pursuit that he ignores whether this person truly aligns with his values, goals, and emotional needs. But a man who attracts doesn't compromise for temporary attention. He knows the difference between a spark and a fire. He doesn't settle for surface level interest. He waits with patience and self-respect for someone who sees him, really sees him for who he is, not just what he can give. Women, whether they admit it or not, are deeply drawn to men who have direction. A man on a mission is deeply attractive. He has boundaries, he has standards. He doesn't abandon his dreams to chase validation. He brings stability, not desperation, and that stability creates a sense of emotional safety, something every emotionally mature woman deeply desires. This isn't about playing games or being aloof. It's about living in alignment with your truth and allowing the right person to enter your life without you having to constantly reach for them. It's about leading with presence, not pressure. Real attraction comes from the energy you carry when you're unapologetically focused on becoming the best version of yourself. A man who attracts doesn't ask, how do I get her to like me? He asks, is she aligned with where I'm going? He doesn't manipulate, beg, or perform. He simply shows up as himself. And that's more than enough for the right woman. Attraction isn't something you chase, it's something you become. And when you become that man, you stop needing to chase, because what's meant for you will naturally be drawn in by who you are, not by how hard you run after it. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is ignoring red flags. Whether it's because of physical attraction, emotional attachment, or the fear of being alone, many men choose to overlook behavior that should actually make them stop and think. But smart men know that when something feels off, it usually is. Red flags are not just little quirks or personality differences. They're warning signs. They signal potential trouble ahead. Ignoring them is like turning a blind eye while your ship heads straight for a storm. You may want to believe things will get better, that you can fix it, or that love will change her. But that hope often leads to heartbreak. When a woman disrespects you, manipulates you, plays mind games, or constantly shifts blame, those aren't signs of a passionate personality. They're signs of instability. If she can't take accountability for her actions, if she always makes you feel like everything is your fault, or if she creates drama to control your emotions, you're not in a healthy connection. You're in a trap. And the longer you stay, the more it damages your confidence, your peace, and even your sense of identity. Red flags are there to protect you, not to test your patience. A smart man doesn't confuse effort with endurance. Yes, relationships require work, but they should never be built on the foundation of excuses, apologies for constant disrespect, or emotional roller coasters. You're not meant to walk on eggshells around someone you love. You're meant to feel secure, valued, and emotionally safe. When you ignore red flags early on, they turn into regrets later. That's why emotional awareness is so important. You have to observe patterns, not just moments. One-time mistakes are human. Repeated toxic behavior is a character issue. It's easy to get caught up in the idea of who someone could be instead of accepting who they actually are. You might tell yourself she just needs time, or she's only acting this way because she's been hurt. But no amount of understanding justifies constant disrespect. Love is not about saving someone from their demons. It's about growing together in mutual respect. Smart men understand that, and they walk away when the behavior crosses their line of peace. They don't stay in hopes of potential. They make decisions based on reality. Ignoring red flags doesn't make them disappear. It just delays the damage. And by the time you realize how deep you're in, you've already lost valuable time, energy, and self-respect. Trust your gut. If something feels right, it probably isn't. A woman who truly values you will not put you in positions where you constantly question your worth. Pay attention to how you feel around her. Does she bring you peace or stress? Does she uplift you or drain you? Smart men don't stick around to find out if the storm will pass. They see the clouds, read the signs, and choose themselves before it's too late. A man with purpose is a man with direction, and that direction is what gives his life meaning, confidence, and strength. Smart men understand that while love is important, it should never become an obsession that causes them to lose sight of their mission. When you obsess over a woman, you begin to compromise your goals, your values, and your time. You start living for her validation instead of your own vision. This is where many men go wrong. They build their entire emotional world around a single person and forget the very foundation that made them attractive in the first place: their drive, their ambition, and their independence. Purpose is what grounds a man. It gives him something to wake up for, something to fight for, something that fuels his growth. A woman may love being around you, but if she sees that you're completely consumed by her to the point where you stop chasing your dreams, she starts losing respect. Respect isn't built on how much attention you give. It's built on how much discipline and direction you maintain. A man who keeps building even while in love becomes a source of strength, not dependency. He leads his life with vision, and that leadership naturally extends into the relationship in a healthy, balanced way. Obsession, on the other hand, leads to imbalance. It often turns love into control, neediness, and anxiety. When a woman becomes your only focus, every little thing she does or doesn't do starts affecting your emotional state. You get jealous, you overthink, you become reactive. That kind of emotional instability comes from neglecting your core purpose. Without something greater than the relationship anchoring your identity, you begin to rely on her for your happiness, and that pressure can destroy the connection you're trying to protect. A man in his purpose doesn't just become attractive, he becomes unshakable. He doesn't need constant reassurance because his mission keeps him centered. He's not thrown off course by temporary emotions because he knows where he's headed. And ironically, this is what draws a high-quality woman in. She sees that you have a life, a vision, and a discipline that commands respect. She knows that you care for her, but you're not willing to abandon yourself in the process. That kind of strength creates safety. It tells her that you're not emotionally dependent, you're emotionally grounded. Love should be a partnership, not a replacement for purpose. When you stay focused on your mission, you give your relationship room to grow without suffocating it. You show up with value, not just emotion. You pour from a full cup, not one that's desperate for validation. Smart men know that obsession blinds, but purpose guides. And when you stay loyal to your mission, the right woman will not only respect you more, she'll want to walk beside you on that journey, not become the reason you abandon it. Smart men understand the difference between excitement and emotional chaos. In the early stages of attraction, it's easy to mistake drama for passion or unpredictability for chemistry. But over time, what feels thrilling in the moment often turns into emotional exhaustion. That's why a man who values himself chooses peace over chaos. He knows that a relationship should bring stability, not confusion. It should feel like a safe space, not a battleground. A woman who constantly stirs up emotional tension, picks fights, plays games, or thrives on conflict might seem intense or passionate, but in reality, she's draining your energy and distracting you from your growth. Choosing peace means choosing maturity. It means choosing calm over constant conflict, honesty over manipulation, and emotional safety over roller coaster highs and lows. It's not about avoiding problems or expecting perfection. It's about choosing someone who knows how to communicate, how to listen, and how to work through challenges without turning every disagreement into a war. Smart men don't get addicted to toxic cycles of breaking up and making up. They don't keep returning to women who bring more stress than support. They recognize that chaos is a red flag, not a romantic spark. There's a certain kind of woman who thrives in emotional instability. She tests your loyalty with silence, creates drama to feel desired, and uses jealousy to gain control. A man without boundaries gets caught in that cycle and begins to think that love should be difficult. But smart men know better. They don't mistake emotional intensity for genuine connection. Real love doesn't feel like you're walking on eggshells. It feels steady, honest, and safe. A peaceful relationship allows you to focus, build, and grow because it doesn't constantly demand your emotional energy for damage control. Peace isn't boring. It's powerful. It gives you the clarity to be your best self. It lets you operate from strength, not survival. A woman who brings peace will not compete with your goals. She'll complement them. She'll be a soft place to land, not a storm to endure. And when you find that, you protect it, not by obsessing, but by maintaining the standards that brought it into your life. You don't tolerate chaos just because you're afraid of being alone. You stand firm, knowing that your mental health and emotional balance are too important to sacrifice for temporary affection. A smart man asks himself, how do I feel around her? Am I inspired or drained? Am I calm or constantly anxious? These questions matter because how you feel consistently in someone's presence reveals the truth of the connection. And if peace is missing, so is the foundation of a healthy relationship. Smart men walk away from chaos, not because they're weak, but because they're wise enough to know that peace is the real prize. They've fought enough battles in life. They don't need to fight in love. Two smart men understand that real connection doesn't come from trying to impress. It comes from expressing who you truly are. Many men fall into the trap of thinking they have to perform, posture, or pretend in order to win a woman's attention. They show off material things, fake confidence, or act like someone they're not just to seem more desirable. But this only creates a shallow bond built on illusion. Eventually the mask slips and what's underneath may not match what was presented. That's why the men who stand out are not the loudest or flashiest. They are the ones who are honest, calm, and real. When a man expresses rather than impresses, he leads with authenticity. He's not worried about being liked by everyone. He's not chasing approval. He's focused on alignment. He wants to know if this woman truly connects with him, not just with his appearance, money, or social status, but with his values, his mind, and his heart. This kind of emotional maturity is rare, and that's exactly what makes it attractive. When a man is secure enough to be himself, he gives the woman permission to do the same, and in that space, something genuine can grow. Trying to impress often comes from a place of insecurity. It's the fear of not being enough. It's the belief that you have to prove your worth instead of knowing it. But the problem with always trying to impress is that it's never sustainable. You'll always feel like you're performing. You feel pressure to keep up the image, and that constant need for approval will drain you. A smart man doesn't live like that. He knows his value, and he allows his energy, his truth, and his consistency to speak for him. Expressing yourself means showing your true intentions, setting clear boundaries, and speaking with honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. It means not being afraid to say what you want, what you believe, or what you expect. It also means being able to listen, because expression is not just about talking, it's about connection. When you're trying to impress, you're focused on yourself, but when you're expressing, you're focused on understanding and being understood. Women can sense the difference. A man who's trying too hard to impress often comes across as desperate or insincere. But a man who's grounded in who he is, who can be vulnerable without being weak and confident without being arrogant, that man is unforgettable. His calm presence becomes more appealing than any fancy car, flashy clothes, or rehearsed lines. He doesn't need to sell himself. He just shows up fully present and lets the right woman connect with the real him. In the end, smart men know that the right connection doesn't need performance, it needs presence. And the woman who's meant for you will be drawn not to who you pretend to be, but to who you really are when you choose to express, not impress. Smart men understand that no relationship is worth losing yourself over. While love, connection, and intimacy are important parts of life, they should never come at the cost of your identity, purpose, or peace of mind. The moment you begin to abandon your values, shrink your dreams, or silence your truth just to keep someone else happy, you start losing touch with the most important person in your life, you. And once you lose yourself, no relationship can truly fulfill you, because you've traded your authenticity for temporary affection. It often starts subtly. You compromise here, adjust there, stay quiet when something bothers you, or change your behavior to avoid conflict. Over time, you begin to forget what you wanted in the first place. You start molding yourself into what you think she wants. And in doing so, you become a stranger to your own reflection. A man without a strong sense of self is easily manipulated, constantly seeking approval and terrified of rejection. That's not love, it's emotional dependence, and it's a dangerous place to live. A man who values himself doesn't give up his passions, his principles, or his path for anyone. He knows that any woman who's right for him will never ask him to sacrifice his identity to prove his love. He doesn't need to bend so far that he breaks. He knows that true love respects boundaries, supports growth, and encourages individuality. You can be in love and still be whole. You can give your heart without giving away your soul. Losing yourself often comes from the fear of being alone. Many men cling to toxic or unbalanced relationships because they believe they won't find better, or that being with someone is better than being by themselves. But smart men see the bigger picture. They'd rather walk alone in truth than stay in a connection that demands they lie to themselves. They understand that loneliness is temporary, but losing yourself can cost you years of healing. When you hold on to who you are, your values, your mission, your integrity, you don't just protect your future, you attract the kind of love that's built on mutual respect. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. If you abandon yourself, others will too. But when you stand firm, you create space for someone who sees you, accepts you, and grows with you, not someone who reshapes you into something more convenient for them. The strongest relationships are not built on sacrifice, they're built on synergy. Two whole people coming together to support each other's journey without controlling, changing, or consuming one another. That only happens when you're rooted in your identity. So stay grounded, keep your goals in sight, speak your truth, and never forget that the right person will love you, not in spite of who you are, but because of it. Never lose yourself for anyone. Because the moment you do, you lose the one thing that made you powerful in the first place. There's a powerful and fitting ending for your speech, 9 things smart men should not do with women, in the style you've been using. At the end of the day, being a smart man isn't about playing games, being cold, or outsmarting women. It's about knowing your worth, standing in your truth, and refusing to settle for anything that robs you of your peace, your power or your purpose. Relationships should uplift you, not drain you. They should align with your values, not pull you away from them. So learn from your past, keep your standards high, and never trade your identity just to keep someone in your life. The right woman won't require you to dim your light. She'll respect your shine and walk beside you as you rise. Stay focused, stay grounded, and above all, stay true to you.